That's right, Charger fans. The time has finally come, and as promised as well, my one of four Charger mock drafts that I have for you guys. Rank them up, see what you guys think. Check it out. All more here on Charger Syndicate. What's going on, you guys? Jake Silva here on Charger Syndicate, giving you everything LA Chargers news. If it is your first time ever here up on the channel, I appreciate you guys to like, subscribe, hit the bell button to keep you up to date on many news of LA Chargers surrounding it. So, guys, the time has finally come. I've got one of four mock drafts for your LA Chargers. I am excited about this one because there are many, many questions that need to be answered. And again, rank them up, comment as well, guys, what you guys end up thinking about it. How would you draft? How would you grade this draft? Really appreciate your guys' feedback up on this one. So as you know, the Chargers, with all of their picks as of this far, it's going to be interesting to see how Jim Harbaugh really shapes up this team. So let's get right up and into it as, of course, the obvious first round number 5 pick in the draft. So at number 5, I have the LA Chargers potentially taking wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, I've said this before. With this kind of pick, this almost kind of feels like it's got a little bit of a Peyton Manning feel to it because Peyton Manning, his star wide receiver, he ended up getting Marvin Harrison Jr.'s dad, Marvin Harrison, and that is where the relationship just thrived after all of that. Now, of course, with a few moves that have happened up front in the 4 picks, this is what allowed the Chargers to basically land someone like Marvin Harrison Jr. on their lap. So with this being said, the Chargers then get their number 1 receiver up and in the draft, and I think that this was a solid pick. At number 37, I have the Chargers taking Jackson Powers Johnson, the offensive center from Oregon. Very, very solid pick as well. And as you know, they needed to get a playmaker in the first pick of the draft. So by the second round pick, this is where the Chargers now needed to start thinking about their offensive line. And the perfect guy to put in this offensive line structure would be Powers Johnson. And honestly, to me, this guy is going to serve to potentially be that Creed Humphrey type player that the Chargers are really hoping to shape around for the next 5+ years as well, with the departure of Corey Linsley retiring with the injury that he also sustained as well. And so hopefully, many prayers to him for his health as well and appreciating him. This is where Jackson Powers Johnson is really going to fit in the big hole from here. Now, in the 69th pick, this one was kind of interesting to me because it was either go running back, go corner, go tight end, whatever they wanted to do. But honestly, I would take Mike Sainristil at number 69 for the Chargers as the corner from Michigan. Now, as you know, we know this was going to be bound to happen where Jim Harbaugh is going to bring in Michigan guys. And I think Mike Sainristil, he's very much a physical caliber type corner, a guy that basically will disrupt any offense, and especially when it comes to the opposing receivers. He's a guy that has a really good upside when it comes to man-to-man coverage and somebody that can really fill in that hole that helps with Asante Samuel Jr. and a guy that can very much contest wide receivers on the other side of things. Now, in the 105, this might actually be a little bit of a low-key underrated pick, but I took Cade Stover, the tight end from Ohio State. Now, some people might not think this is a sexy pick, but to me personally, watching Cade Stover at Ohio State, he's got good hands. He's also another one that can serve to be a bit of a blocking tight end as well. But I think if you come into a Jim Harbaugh type of system, you're going to learn the physicality part of things. You're going to honestly mesh with the offense that's ready to roll, that's going to be set, that has at least their pivotal point at wide receiver. This is exactly, I think, the good option at tight end to really take at 105. Now, this one had a trade in the middle of it. They traded for the 111th pick, and in this one, we're going to start to focus on that right tackle side, and this is where I decided to pick Delmar Glaze, the offensive tackle from Maryland. Now, even though a lot of the top offensive tackles were basically taken early on in the first 2 rounds, the biggest thing is that at least the Chargers still have a good enough offensive tackle to end up giving more depth for Trey Pipkins on the right side. Delmar Glaze, very solid offensive tackle. I really do like this pick as well, and to serve up well to helping in case if Pipkin's injury starts to happen, then at least we can get this rookie to get him up and on the right side. Now, the 140 pick, I picked this one. This one was very underrated for me too, is the running back from New Hampshire, Dylan Laube. I've been told from a real good source of mine that he is a guy that kind of serves a little to be that Danny Woodhead type of player, but he's got much more speed. He's got better pass catching skills, and somebody, of course, with now the signing of J.K. Dobbins, and along with having Gus Edwards and Isaiah Spiller, you're going to have to get somebody that really is going to mesh with this running back room. And I think Dylan Laube will be exactly this guy that comes in and he meshes with this offensive run game. Now, 181, as we get lower and lower into the draft picks, I pick the defensive tackle from Baylor, Gabe Hall. Now, they really needed to start to strengthen that front line of the defense for the Chargers. And I think this guy, especially coming from Baylor, Baylor has been quite the program that has produced some of their best defensive guys. And I think, honestly, Gabe Hall will come in and he will learn the system very quickly without even having much of the pressure on his shoulders. And 185 as a trade on this one. Yes, definitely went with safety with this one. I went with Jaylon Carlies, the safety from Missouri. Now, not a great enough pick, but at the same time, this definitely serves depth for Alohi Gilman and for Derwin James. And to be a part of that in that secondary, I think that's where Carlies is really going to start to mesh up well. Good enough pick, but honestly, probably could go with a different option up on there. But I think Carlies, you definitely needed to solidify that safety position. And then, of course, these two picks are going to be very interesting for you. But I went with the edge rusher from Washington State, Brennan Jackson, at 225. At least they have edge rushers, at least with edge depth, because at the same time, you got both Mackin and Bosa now back, and a +2, you got year 2 of Thule. So at least from this point, and even having Chris Rump up in there, you're probably going to have somebody that could convert from edge rush to maybe potentially linebacker. And so depending on that, I'd say taking Brennan Jackson, depending on where he really does land up on his potential upside, I think he'd be a solid enough pick late in the rounds. And then finally, the last pick, 253, this is where I go with Darius Muasau, linebacker from UCLA. Familiarity in the California area, at least with Muasau, he definitely worked up very, very well next to a guy like Laiatulatu, and somebody that really does bring that defensive caliber that Jim Harbaugh really does like, and maybe with Jesse Minter as well. So, and not to mention, don't forget about Navarro Bowman in the middle of this mix. But I think having this kind of solid linebacker as well comes in with familiarity, doesn't have to go far, but at the very least feels comfortable. He's coachable and somebody that I think could really be a sneaky pick for the Chargers, at least up in the late round. So that is the first mock draft of 4 mock drafts that I have for all of you Charger fans as well. Let me know what you guys think. Rank it up. How do you kind of rank up this draft? Like, subscribe, and hit the bell button to keep you up to date on everything Chargers news. Jake Silva signing off, and we'll see you guys in the next mock draft on Chargers Syndicate. Take care, guys.